All right, last topic here. I'm here to talk about a backlash Jill Scott got. Um, at the time of this recording, it was last week or just a couple days ago, to be honest with you. But um, yeah, at the time of this recording. But either or, if you were on X or just social media, because I'm pretty sure they probably went in on Jill Scott over at TikTok as well. But if you are on X, Jill Scott was trending, and not because she is a beautiful woman with a great singing voice. It wasn't because people are enjoying old classic Jill Scott songs, or again, maybe a new Jill Scott song that I haven't listened to yet. And nothing of that. It was because she simply tweeted out support or praise of Chris Brown because I believe she saw him perform somewhere and she wanted to give him his praise for how much she thinks how much of a great talent that she thinks he is. Now, everybody knows on social media, especially X, when you're talking about someone like Chris Brown, or just someone like him, you can only say bad things about him. You can't say anything good about him. You can't say he's a great painter. You can't say he's a great dancer, a great singer, or anything. You can't say he's funny. You can't say he's great at basketball. You always have to say something negative about him. Anything short of negativity, anything short of he should die, then the pitchfork mob is coming at you. The same pitchfork mob I was referring to at the beginning of this episode. Yeah, the online mob. Yeah, they're gonna come at you. And well, Jill Scott was just yet another person that the mob came after. She's not the first woman or just first person in general who suffered the fate that she did at the hands or the pitchforks of the pitchfork mob. But nonetheless, um, I'm here to just talk about it in this situation here and share my thoughts. Now, as much as I love Jill Scott, I can't say that and I'm glad that I don't know if she's apologized. Now, I won't be surprised honestly if she did apologize and recant her statements. Cuz it wasn't just that actually. Let me before I share my thoughts, let me continue on. It wasn't even just that. She likened Chris Brown to an old father figure of hers from her past who was also abusive, physically abusive to her mother and I believe to herself as well. Um, that's all she said. She didn't say if the man was physically abusive in other ways, like sexually abusive, or at least I didn't get that. But she did mention that this former stepfather was abusive toward her. And she has forgiving that man and still actually holds love for that man. And therefore, because she is able to do that for that man, she is able to do the same for Chris Brown. Now, here are my thoughts. I think that Jill Scott is someone who, if she decides she can forgive somebody like that, and then that is her choice. I talked about the power of forgiveness just a couple months ago or so on here. And, I think that her being able to say this person hurt me in my past and I'm able to forgive you. I honestly think that's a beautiful thing. Now, will I have the power? Do I know that I have the power to do that? I have the capability to do it. I can say that, but do I have the power in the sense that, well, no, I want to reverse that. Do I have the power to do so? Yeah, every one of us in the world has the power to say we forgive somebody for hurting us. Are we capable of doing it is a totally different thing. Jill Scott, all she did was display, and others like her who have complimented and showed their praise and support of Chris Brown. What she pretty much displayed was not only does she know she has the power of forgiveness, but she is capable of doing so herself. And that's what she chose to do at the end of the day. It's really that simple. That's how I view this situation. I'm not surprised that people still have ill feelings toward Chris Brown. That's you're tripping. And I don't care how long ago it was, people feel strongly about domestic disputes like that. You know, especially after seeing Rihanna's face and everything else. And people can mention again, once again, that Rihanna was the aggressor. Even Rihanna said herself that she was the initial aggressor and all that stuff. Um, I get it, but people have their feelings about it and they are entitled to their feelings. But Jill Scott is also entitled to her feelings about Chris Brown and her former stepfather. And she's entitled to say whoever has hurt her in the past, if she chooses to forgive them, that is her choice. That is none of our business. But my problem with this situation is the people that felt the need to make that judgment for her in regards to Chris Brown and in regards to her stepfather, and then make it seem like she was wrong for doing so because you don't have the capability of doing so. Now, like I was alluding to before, I have the power to do so, but I don't know if I have the capability to do so, to be honest with you. I don't know. I unfortunately have never been in a situation to where, yes, I had abusive relationships, yeah. Um, more of the abusive relationships I've ever had were emotional based, verbal abuse and things of that nature. I've never, well, I won't say never because I literally just got out of a physical abusive relationship, but rarely have I've ever been with somebody to the point where like I stayed with somebody long enough to where it got really deep into a physical situation. Um, and as I've detailed, I've been the abuser in the past as well. And anybody who's chosen to forgive me, it's again their choice. You know, at the end of the day, as I was stating about the power of forgiveness, or at least when I talked about forgiveness a couple weeks ago or so, I said that it's one of those things that if somebody comes to you about it, you know, it's if they come to you asking for it, what the Bible says is we have to just give it to them. Simple as that. It doesn't mean forget what they said. It doesn't mean invite them back into your life and have them be what they used to be. That could have been the case with Jill Scott and her former father-in-law, hence why he's former, along with him not being with her mom anymore, of course, but hence why their relationship is that former, because he may have came to her life and was like, "Can you forgive me for the abuse that I did?" You know, and she may have said, "Yeah." But who's to say their relationship is the same? I don't know. Unfortunately, I'm not in Jill Scott's life, meaning I'm not her husband. I'm not in close proximity to her, so I don't know who's in her life by saying that. Unfortunately, you know, I'd love to be her man, but reality is here. Reality says you're not her man. So that's number one. Um, you know, but in all seriousness, it's like we we need to stop thinking that other people have to make the same decisions we have to make. I think it's perfectly fine, honestly, if you said I cannot forgive someone for doing this thing, whether that someone be a Chris Brown or a former family member or you know whatever, whoever, right? If you decide you can't do it, I think that's perfectly fine, and you're well within your right to say I can't do it. You know, but let that be your decision and let that be and only apply that to you. And it's perfectly fine if the comments to Jill Scott was, I don't know how you can do that, because I've seen a few comments like that. I'm not talking about those folks. Those folks are absolutely right for stating, I don't know how you can do it because I personally can't. Those are not the people I have an issue with, or people, or the responses I have an issue with. The responses I have an issue with are the people who are downing this woman, bullying this woman, trying to get her to change her stance, if she already hasn't, and capitulate to them and make her feel the way that they feel about Chris Brown. They feel Chris Brown should always be condemned for what he did. And he should be hated forever. And like I said, nothing about him should be said other than negativity, and nothing short of you should die, you should kill yourself, you should just be dead, someone should kill you, you should be harmed. Anything short of that, then whatever you say about CB, it's blasphemous to these folks. And to me, it's like you have way too much time on your hand if that's how you want to spend your life, with that much vitriol for somebody you've never met and probably will never meet. You don't have to like his actions. You can say that. You can say that, you can express that, you can get on your soapbox, whatever your soapbox is, and say that. But to then make it a all day thing, to try to shame somebody else who feels the complete opposite that you do. Or maybe they don't completely feel the opposite, but they just don't feel as strongly about it as you do. Like with me, again, I don't like what Chris Brown did. But if you think I'm losing sleep thinking about it, I'm not. It was years ago. Rihanna even says she forgiven him. If the person who was the victim in that situation is telling it a long time ago, says that it said to people, let it go, get over it. I think it's pretty much safe for everybody else out there. I'm not saying instantly, but it's safe for me. And I'm only speaking about this because, again, the times I've been in, situations of abuse and stuff, or whether it's physical, I didn't stay with that person. It was not to the point where it got somewhere where I was like, you know what, it got like to the level to where I looked like Rihanna did. Um, but you know, it was just like, okay, I know this is I'm gonna avoid this thing, and that's that. Simple as that. Um, but it's just the simple fact that I'm not going to hang, like I said, I'm not going to lose sleep, thinking about it. And I'm not going to try to force other people to see things, anything for that matter, the way that I do, especially about other people. I'm going through something right now with the church that I left where, you know, um, the pastor there, she's on some stuff. She's trying to paint me out to be a certain way, or not telling the full story as to my issue with her. So she's painting herself out to be like this innocent victim that was just a victim of me just lashing out of nowhere. And then people who know me, and people who know me know that I'm not that's not me, you know. So there are people there that are like, I know he's not like that, something ain't right, because I know there's nothing, like he's not the type that's just going to lash out on somebody for no reason. And there's more to this story than what is being let on, you know. um that's what's going on here, you know, in that situation. But I'll probably detail that in the future. But what I'm saying here is that, um the whole perception thing, like people's, like, I'm not trying to force people to feel the way that I feel about the pastor. People have reached out, not a lot of people, but I'm in constant contact with somebody there, and I'm telling her how I feel, but it's like, you gonna feel however you want to feel. Everyone else there, and anybody else were to reach out to me, they're gonna feel however they want to feel about the pastor. What I don't want is, and it's what's people are trying to do, but what I don't want is for them to try to get me to feel the way about her that they do, because they decide to look past certain things. I understand, what I'm saying, like relationships, and all this other stuff, but in relating it back to this whole Jill Scott, Chris Brown thing, um, you don't have to like the fact that you don't have to like Chris Brown. You don't have to like the fact that there are people who actually don't see him as the monster as you see him. But trying to force people to see things your way is not how you go. Like it's not gonna work. It's just I'm just gonna keep it real. It's not gonna work. And it's a waste of time and it's goofy because you don't like it when they try to convince you to forgive him. So why are you then doing the same thing? But the same thing in the sense of trying to convince them or force them because it's not really a convincing thing. It's more so of a forcing. It's not he's a bad guy because X, Y, and Z, and they come up with points. It's more so personal attacks of if you support him, you support X, Y, and Z. You're this type of person. It's a coercion tactic. It's not a convincing tactic. To me, it's like no, that's not. You feel however you want to feel about the man, but what you're doing is it's whack to put it like in the only term that I could think of right now because I want to get off this thing and enjoy the rest of my day. So either or, just to wrap it up, Jill Scott has the power and capability to not abuse. I hope not because I love Jill Scott, but she has the power and capability to forgive abusers. Is what I want to say. Um, but you might not have the capability. You do have the power. Like I said, the power is within all of us. We all have the power to forgive anybody, abusers or not. I have the power to forgive someone that I thought was abusing my kindness. Whether I have the capability or not really depends on other factors. Just like your capability to forgive Chris Brown or anybody else, someone who's actually hurt you in your life, that depends on other factors, your capability. One of those factors could be you getting in your own way of doing so, or it could be something else. But you do have the power. So like I said, I just wanted to say that. And that will be the end of this episode. This has been another episode of the Earnest Thoughts Podcast. Thank you for checking it out. Timestamps in the description box below. I did figure out the timestamp situation, so that's good. But as far as other issues that I had, please bear with me. I appreciate those who still support all that good stuff. I know again, most of the ads do play at the beginning, so that's great. But I did hear there were certain moments where it would play an ad in the middle of me talking about something and all this other stuff. Still working on, planning on working on finding fixes for the issues that I have, but that's just me being um, you know, being a perfectionist. So yeah. Until next time, until next episode, stay black if you are black, stay beautiful. Black Lives Matter, LGBTQIA plus lives matter. Black women matter. Black men matter. You matter. Black children matter. And I'm out. I didn't messed up my outro. Whatever. I'm out, y'all.